Witness testified. Man scheduled his own ET abduction and 300 people watched him vanish into the craft. What if everything you've been told about alien abductions is a lie? What if some people don't get taken against their will but are actually invited by extraterrestrial beings for a purpose far beyond our understanding? What you're about to discover involves physical evidence that no laboratory on Earth can explain, over 300 eyewitnesses who watched a man disappear into thin air, and a cover-up so massive that even top UFO researchers refuse to acknowledge it exists. The year was 2003 and something happened in Brazil that would change everything we thought we knew about extraterrestrial contact. A man named Yurindir Fernandes de Oliveira stood before hundreds of witnesses and announced something impossible. He told them the exact date and time when beings from another world would come to take him aboard their craft. Not an abduction, an invitation. Most people would call this insanity. Most people would laugh and walk away. But over 300 individuals gathered at his farm in Corguinho, Brazil, because Yurindir had done this before. He had proven himself countless times. And what happened that day would leave physical evidence so undeniable that even skeptics couldn't explain it away. The beings came exactly when he said they would. Witnesses reported seeing brilliant lights descending from the sky. They watched as Yurindir's body began to levitate. Some described a sphere of energy surrounding him, pulsating with colors that don't exist in our visible spectrum. Then he was gone, vanished, taken aboard a craft that materialized above the farm while hundreds of people stood frozen in amazement. But here's where this story goes from incredible to absolutely explosive. When Yurindir returned hours later, he wasn't alone in experiencing the impossible. His bed sheets had been transformed into something that defied all known physics. The fabric had been burned in a pattern that no earthly technology could replicate. Not scorched by heat, not damaged by chemicals. The molecular structure itself had been altered in ways that laboratories confirmed were beyond our current scientific capabilities. Enter Linda Moulton Howe. For those who don't know, she's one of the most respected investigative journalists in ufology. Emmy Award winner, decades of credible research. When she heard about this case, she didn't dismiss it. She didn't ignore it. She flew to Brazil, interviewed Yurindir personally, collected the physical evidence, and brought it back to top laboratories in the United States. The results were staggering. The University of Philadelphia's textile experts examined the sheets under every possible test. Spectroscopy, molecular analysis, chemical breakdown. Their conclusions sent shockwaves through the small circle of researchers who were allowed to know. The burn patterns showed energy exposure at levels that would require technology we simply do not possess. The fabric had been subjected to temperatures and radiation that should have turned it to ash. Yet it remained intact with perfect impressions of Yurindir's arm extended upward. Think about that for a moment. His arm position was literally burned into the sheet at a molecular level during the moment of contact. This wasn't a hoax you could create with an iron or any conventional tool. This was evidence of technology so advanced it makes our most sophisticated equipment look like Stone Age tools. But wait, this is where the story takes an even darker turn. Linda Moulton Howe prepared a comprehensive report on this case. She called it one of the most significant abduction events in UFO history. She had the evidence. She had the witnesses. She had the laboratory results. So why did her findings never appear in any major UFO publication? Why was this case buried? The UFO magazine in Brazil, which claims to be the oldest and most important publication on the subject, never published a single line about Linda's investigation. Not one word. They had covered far less credible cases for years, but this case with hundreds of witnesses and physical evidence that passed laboratory scrutiny somehow never made it into their pages. The silence was deafening. Here's what really happened. There's a power structure in the UFO research community that decides what gets told and what gets hidden. When Linda tried to publish her findings, she faced pressure from multiple directions. Other researchers, organizations, and publication gatekeepers actively worked to suppress the information. Why? Because Yurindir represented something they couldn't control. He wasn't just a victim of alien contact. He was someone who communicated with these beings, who scheduled meetings with them, who brought back knowledge that threatened established narratives. Do you believe there's life on other planets? Do you think we're alone in this vast universe? Leave your thoughts in the comments because what comes next might change everything you think you know. The Brazilian Air Force knew about Urandir. They invited him to official meetings at Sindacta, their integrated air defense center. He sat in rooms with military officials and other UFO researchers. But here's the twisted part. The same researchers who appeared at those official government meetings later pretended Urandir didn't exist. They stood in the same room with him, then went back to their publications and conferences and acted like he was nobody, like his cases never happened, like hundreds of witnesses were all lying or delusional. One of these meetings was captured on video. You can see Urandir sitting there among Brazil's top UFO researchers. The late Claudir Covo, the late AJ Gaverd, Rafael Curry, who has also passed away, all of them in an official government facility discussing UFO phenomena. But the moment cameras stopped rolling, they ignored Urandir completely. They were uncomfortable with his presence because he represented something they couldn't debunk or control. This wasn't the only time Urandir experienced contact that was witnessed by multiple people. There was another incident at a location called Ziggurat where he announced he would be taken again. Dozens of witnesses lined up at the observatory to watch. What happened next sounds like science fiction but was documented by everyone present. A ball of fire descended and surrounded his vehicle. The entire car was engulfed in flames that didn't burn. Witnesses described it as similar to the biblical burning bush, fire that blazed but consumed nothing. Inside the sphere of impossible fire, Urandir was lifted away. When it was over, his car remained locked from the inside. No one could explain how the locks had engaged. The witnesses had to force the vehicle open. But Urandir was gone for hours, taken aboard a craft while people watched the impossible unfold before their eyes. These weren't hallucinations. These weren't stories told by a single person claiming extraordinary experiences. We're talking about events witnessed by hundreds of people. Events that left physical evidence. Events documented on video and investigated by credible researchers. Yet somehow, the mainstream UFO community maintains absolute silence. The evidence Linda Moulton Howe collected included not just the sheets but multiple samples of materials that showed the same impossible characteristics. She interviewed dozens of witnesses. She documented everything with the precision of a trained investigator. Her footage shows her inside Urandir's home, examining the evidence firsthand, speaking with him about the encounter. She was convinced this was real. She staked her reputation on it. But when she tried to share her findings with the larger UFO research community, doors slammed shut. Conferences that had welcomed her for years suddenly had no room for this particular presentation. Publications that printed far less credible stories somehow couldn't find space for the most well-documented contact case in decades. The message was clear. This story would not be told. Why such aggressive suppression? Because Urandir's experiences challenged the entire framework of how we're supposed to think about alien contact. The standard narrative says extraterrestrials abduct humans against their will for mysterious experiments. Victims are powerless. The experience is traumatic. We are specimens being studied by superior beings who regard us as laboratory animals. But Urandir's case shows something completely different. It shows communication. It shows cooperation. It shows humans and extraterrestrial intelligences working together toward shared goals. It shows that some people have ongoing relationships with these beings. That's terrifying to the power structures that want to control information about UFOs. If regular people can communicate with extraterrestrials, if they can be invited aboard craft and return with knowledge, then the gatekeepers lose their authority. Think about the implications. If extraterrestrials are selecting certain humans to receive information and training, what does that mean for the rest of us? What knowledge are they sharing? What is Urandir's role in this larger picture? The fact that over 1,000 people now visit his facility seeking their own contact experiences suggests something profound is happening. The physical evidence alone should have made this an international story. When laboratory analysis confirms that materials have been exposed to technology beyond our capabilities, that's not speculation. That's hard science pointing toward something we can't explain with conventional physics. The burn patterns on those sheets represent a fingerprint of advanced technology. They're proof that something extraordinary happened. Multiple independent witnesses, physical evidence verified by top laboratories, video documentation, official government acknowledgement through military meetings. Every element that skeptics claim is missing from UFO cases is present here in abundance. Yet the story remains buried. The suppression goes even deeper. Linda Moulton Howe recorded conversations with people in Washington discussing this case. She has footage that has never been released because she was asked not to share it. Think about that. Evidence exists that could blow this whole thing wide open, but it sits in archives because of pressure to maintain silence. Who has that kind of power? Who benefits from keeping humanity in the dark about our true relationship with extraterrestrial civilizations? This isn't just about one man's experiences. This is about a systematic effort to control what humanity knows about our place in the cosmos. Every time someone comes forward with credible evidence of contact, they face a wall of ridicule and suppression. The media ignores them. The research community ostracizes them. Their evidence gets buried or explained away with increasingly ridiculous alternative theories. But Urandir hasn't stopped. His organization continues to grow. More people every year make the journey to experience contact for themselves. They're not coming because of sensational stories. They're coming because they've exhausted all other explanations for what's happening in their lives. They're seeking answers that mainstream society refuses to acknowledge even exist. The question we need to ask isn't whether alien contact is real. The evidence for that is overwhelming for anyone willing to examine it honestly. The real question is why there's such organized resistance to letting humanity know the truth. What are they protecting us from? Or more accurately, what are they protecting by keeping us ignorant? When you have hundreds of witnesses, physical evidence that stumps scientists, and a coordinated effort to bury the story, you're not looking at a hoax. You're looking at something that threatens the established order. Something that would force humanity to completely reimagine our place in the universe and our relationship with intelligences far more advanced than ourselves. Urandir's case proves that contact isn't just possible. It's happening right now. It proves that some humans are being selected for direct communication and training by extraterrestrial beings. It proves that the technology exists to manipulate matter and energy in ways that seem like magic to us. And most importantly, it proves that there are powerful forces working overtime to make sure most people never learn these truths. The sheets with the burn patterns still exist. The witnesses are still alive and willing to testify. Linda Moulton Howe's investigation is documented. The laboratory reports confirming impossible energy signatures are real. All of this evidence is available to anyone willing to dig beneath the surface of official narratives. But you won't see it on the evening news. You won't read about it in major publications, because some truths are considered too dangerous for mass consumption. Every civilization that has ever existed has had to confront the reality that our understanding of the universe was incomplete. We thought Earth was the center of everything until we learned it wasn't. We thought our sun was unique until we discovered billions of others. Now we're being forced to confront the reality that we're not alone, and more than that, we never were. Advanced civilizations have been interacting with humanity throughout our history, guiding our development, waiting for us to reach a level of maturity where open contact becomes possible. Urandir's experiences represent a bridge between worlds. He's not unique in having contact, but he's rare in being willing to speak openly about it despite the consequences, despite the ridicule, despite the suppression, despite knowing that powerful interests would rather see him silenced. He continues to share what he knows because he understands that humanity's future depends on breaking through the walls of enforced ignorance. The most shocking part of this entire story isn't that a man was taken aboard an extraterrestrial craft. It's that when provided with overwhelming evidence of this event, the institutions we trust to investigate such phenomena actively work to hide it. That tells you everything you need to know about who really controls information in our world and what they're afraid of. So what can you do with this information? First, understand that you've been lied to about the nature of reality. Second, recognize that contact with extraterrestrial intelligence is not only possible but actively happening. Third, demand answers from the institutions that have been hiding these truths. And fourth, seek your own experiences because the door to contact is open for those who genuinely seek it. The invitation Yurindir received wasn't just for him. It was a demonstration for all of us. Proof that the barriers between humanity and advanced civilizations can be crossed when we're ready. The question is whether you're ready to accept what that means for everything you thought you knew about our place in the universe. This case is just one of thousands being suppressed right now. Imagine what else is being hidden. Imagine what other evidence exists that would shatter our understanding of reality if it were allowed to reach the public. The rabbit hole goes deeper than most people can imagine, and Yurindir's scheduled abduction is just the beginning of a much larger truth waiting to be uncovered. If the story impacted you, make sure you subscribe because we're going to keep bringing you cases that the mainstream refuses to acknowledge. We're going to keep pulling back the curtain on the greatest cover-up in human history. Your reality is not what you've been told it is, and it's time more people knew the truth. Drop a comment and tell us what you think really happened that day in Brazil. Was this genuine extraterrestrial contact, or is there another explanation? What does it mean that hundreds of people witnessed this, and yet the story remains virtually unknown? The discussion starts now.